at JMay56. And I'm joined tonight, as always, by my co-host, Quentin Crisco. How are we doing tonight, Quentin?
Doing great, Jay. Coming off a winning weekend, 4-2. Just feeling good about football, feeling good about life.
Absolutely dominated the weekend. If you followed any of the shaving points picks, even if you just bet every pick, even the ones that were against each other, you're up 8 units.
Yeah,
for the weekend.
If you bet everything that Jay put out, everything that I put out, and everything that the model put out, you're up 8 units. If you bet any of them just individually, like followed all mine or all of Jay's or all the models, you're up at least 2 units.
Yeah, just great weekend overall. Dallas Cowboys absolutely putting the nail in the coffin of Tom Brady's career at Tampa Bay. I think that's over and done with. Absolutely dominating performance. It's the first time we've seen that defense somewhat fully healthy. We're still missing some guys in the defensive backfield that we will not be getting back. But Leighton Vander Esch coming back was absolutely huge for the boys. Deron Bland played pretty well. Mukwamu was our 5th DB going into the season. Had a great game. Stephon Diggs doesn't want to tackle, but don't matter. He was basically on Mike Evans all night. Like, it was just a great performance. Micah Parsons looking absolutely unstoppable on the defensive line, and Dak Prescott dropping his nuts on the table and saying, I can lead this team. It was great to see. I love to see it. First Cowboys road playoff win since the year I was born.
Ooh, I didn't know
Fantastic to see. Since 1992, the Cowboys hadn't won a road playoff game. Absolutely incredible to see. I'm just excited. I'm like that kid in the background of those memes, just happy to be here. Just happy to be here. Here we are.
Before we get too much into that, just want to tell the folks to go check out our website, shaving-points.com. You can find all of our picks and all of the model picks for this week, for every week of the football season there. And you can find the college basketball model there, which has gotten off to a very good start this year. So go check us out. Find us on Twitter, at shaving_points. That's PTS_pod. And you can follow me at Buckus Stats. And you can follow Jay at JMay56.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So we did a little bit of a weekend recap, but Jacksonville money line, never a doubt. Never a doubt. I live bet it. Probably a little too early.
If you didn't live bet it, you're a coward.
Yeah. So I live bet it. I live bet it when I think it was 14-0. I got them at plus 550. I think is what I got it at. I was drinking heavily Saturday. I went and played golf and had some Fireball on the course. So definitely betting responsibly, obviously. Yeah, they went down. I was like, I'm not worried about it. And then I had a couple buddies over. My wife, we were all watching the game, 27-0. And I tried to live bet again, and they took the odds away. So all they had was I could have bet Jacksonville, I think, at the time, like plus 24 when they were down 27. And it was minus 117, I think.
There's no juice on it, though.
Yeah, and I passed on it. But I did get them at plus 550. I also had them before the game, so that was a nice little hit. Also, overs all over the board all weekend. Then under Seattle, San Francisco missed that one. Unfortunate. San Fran just
they almost beat that themselves. Their team total almost beat it.
Yeah, Giants plus 3. That's another one I sprinkled the money line on. Talked about it last week. Yeah. Love the Giants in that game. And then Dallas minus 2. I said it last week. I was probably the only confident Dallas fan in the world. And, Tampa Bay wasn't good all year. And this is one of those things where being a Dallas Cowboys fan is so hard because it's like everybody that was a Dallas Cowboys fan is immediately taking victory laps. acting like we won the Super Bowl. Everybody, Dallas Cowboys hater, which basically falls to the rest of the population. And then there's like 2% that just like are, what do you say, like when you don't care either way. But
Just happy to be there.
Yeah, and then so it's like everybody who hates the Cowboys, like, oh, you're just going to lose to the 49ers, don't matter. Everybody's Cowboys fans, like, oh, we just won the Super Bowl. It was a good win. Yeah, it was something that we needed. So I loved them last week at -2. Also sprinkled the over in that game. So I pushed on the over. I took it right before the game started at 43. So, or 45, excuse me. So got to push on that over. So great win by Dallas, and then ended up going 4-1 on my public plays. So not a bad weekend there. What about you?
Let's see, went 4-2. I also lost the under on the Seattle San Fran game. Hit the over on Jacksonville. Hit the Jacksonville money line. Hit the Giants +3. Hit the under on Baltimore Cincy, which is the only under of the weekend. And I lost.
Depends on when you got it.
Line. Yeah, that depended on when you got it, but I got it to where it hit. So
Lamar Jackson was still expected to play whenever you took that, and then the line dropped to 39.5 or 40 by the time the game started, and so it went over the closing line, went under the opening line. So I'm sure there were some sharps in there that doubled that.
I've actually gotten a good amount of luck on that this year. Like when I know that a quarterback is like very questionable, I like to hit those numbers just because like if they don't play, it's a great number. And I'm sure it could burn me, but it hasn't yet, and it just keeps rolling.
Yeah. Okay. So now that the weekend games are over, wild card weekend's over, super wild card weekend, where apparently now we play Monday night games, which is absolute lunacy, especially in the playoffs where you're trying to keep competitive advantages to a minimum outside of first round buys. But excluding all that, who are your winners of the weekend? Who do you think stood out and kind of took over and maybe gave you a little bit more confidence going in to this week, or maybe who didn't show you what you wanted to see? Looking forward to see what they could possibly do in the divisional round.
Man, I want to say the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, but I just it's KC. Like they didn't give me enough more confidence for me to be like, I'm confident in them now. But like, he looked good. He looked good, absolutely. And then the Giants, like I said coming into last week, I was like, whoever wins this game, I am hammering against. And I'm standing by that. Not a direct hammer, but I'm taking a different route to it. We'll get to that later. But like, they looked good. I don't know if they can do it against Philly or not, but like, they looked good.
Yeah, Giants, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before the pod. I mean, they closed the season out well. The way Daniel Jones is playing right now, the way Brian Daboll is coaching, the way that defense is getting after the quarterback, the way their defensive backs are limiting big plays, the way Saquon Barkley's running the ball. Like, they don't have the big play receiver, but outside of that, they're a very complete team, and they're coached very, very well. I think the Giants are a very, very dangerous team. I think they showed a lot, even in the Minnesota game. Minnesota didn't play a bad game. Giants just went out there and beat them, which I was expecting. I was expecting one of the two teams to lay an egg, and both teams played fine. I mean, but Giants played damn near perfect. So, but I mean, I'm biased here, but I mean, it's got to go to the Dallas Cowboys. The way that offensive line played, it was the first time those starting five has played in those five positions all year. You had Tyron Smith at right tackle, then Jason Peters at left tackle, who ended up going out. So they moved Tyler Smith from left guard to left tackle, brought back in Connor McGovern, put him at guard. And then Tyler Biotis was back for the first time since week 15. And he struggled against Vita Vea early, but ended up holding his own for the rest of the game pretty well. Which, who doesn't struggle against Vita Vea? He's one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen in the league. So the fact that he struggled early and then kind of caught his ground and basically kept him pretty irrelevant for the entire rest of the game. Dak Prescott starts the game 0 for 4 and then gets 22 straight completions. Even when he started, like, his first 3 completions were all very bad throws. And it was Michael Gallup coming through for him. It was T.Y. Hilton coming through for him. And you're like, oh, I mean, I guess we're getting first downs, but Dak is still, like, not throwing great. And then all of a sudden he was putting everything on a dime. Michael Gallup looks like he's finally back to full health. Played absolutely huge for us. We have 3 really good tight ends. It looks like CeeDee Lamb is an absolute unstoppable force. Then Zeke and Pollard are still doing their thing. I mean, I know we're playing the best team in the league this weekend, but my God, that with that defense fully healthy, that offensive line playing the way they're playing, and obviously I don't expect Dak to play that way again, but this is the best. That was one of the best just games I've seen from any team in a long time. Like, everything went perfectly, which probably means it's gonna be a disaster this weekend, but it was just good to see. Just good to know that they can put it all together. Maybe Mike McCarthy is the guy that can bring it home to Dallas and get us that 6th ring.
As long as he's got those laser eyes.
Hey, I'm feeling confident in it. And then obviously Jacksonville. I mean, can't say enough about them coming back. I mean, I said it last week. I said Brandon Staley's either going to lose this game because he's too aggressive or not aggressive enough. And my God, you talk about a guy who has made a career on going for it on questionable 4th downs to where he had multiple chances to put the game away and punted it. What are we doing here? Like, Chargers gonna Charger, man.
Chargers gonna Charger. I saw one take about it that made a lot of sense. That was like, you know, when he got to the Chargers at first, he was so aggressive and so, like, you know, everything that the analytics people want, you know, everything that they say you should do, he was doing. And then it brought all this bad PR around it and this, like, debate around it. And that the take I saw basically said that the ownership probably went to him and was like, just cool it on this. We don't need all this bad PR around it. Like, and it just, like, it almost, like, you know, cut him off at the knees, you know, like it took it out of him, which isn't to say it's the ownership's fault over his. Ultimately, it's his choices. But, like, it seemed to make sense to me, because it's weird how he went from so far on one end to just, like, so far the other in 1 year, you know?
Yeah, I did like the fact that Joey Bosa came out after the game and basically called out the referees. That was nice to see, because all weekend the refs are bad. All weekend the refs are bad.
It's nothing new.
Joey Bosa just going out there and saying it. He's like, I'm going to get a $40,000 fine, so I might as well say what's on my chest. Like, I wish more people, like, obviously I know a lot of people like their money and stuff, but I guess whenever you have a giant contract and you're so mad anyway that you know you're going to get the fine, like, you might, like, why hold back at that point? And so I enjoyed that.
For the last 3 years, refs have been getting offensive tackles get a jump start. If you go look at the tape, you see it. Like,
oh yeah.
3 years in a row now, they've just been letting offensive tackles get a jump start. No one said anything about it, and someone needs to, because, like, it would infuriate me when Khalil Mack was a Bear. I'd be sitting here ripping my hair out like, this guy's getting a head start. Of course he's, like, it sucks.
Yeah, and then, I mean, dominant pass rushers just don't get calls either. I mean, we were talking about it before the Cowboys game. Going in to the Tampa Bay game, opposing offensive lines had committed supposedly 0 holding penalties against the Callboys with
not apparently. I fact checked it for you. I went to the NFL penalty website and looked them all up. The only holdings called for the Cowboys' favor were, like, 2 defensive backs on interceptions.
Yeah.
And a running back and a tight end since week 10.
Yeah, and then you look at the Cowboys' defensive line. You have Dorrance Armstrong with 8 sacks. You have DeMarcus Lawrence with 7 sacks. You have Chandler Parsons with 14 sacks. You have Odigizui with 4 sacks. And you're like, oh, so this team can get to the passer, but somehow they just never get held. Ever. Just don't happen.
Yeah, it's
They just,
a league that loves offense. I saw it with the Bears with Mack
who
and
is
Hicks all the time.
who is the Lions left tackle, right tackle?
Right
Jonah
tackle Penny
Williams?
Sewell.
No, not Penny Sewell. The other one is it Jonah Williams
You mean
or
their guard? Jonah Williams is a guard. Taylor Decker's their left tackle.
it might be Taylor. I want to say Jonah Williams, but I thought he played tackle anyway. He was on a very, very popular sports podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about. They were asking him like, "So what do you like? Everybody holds, everybody does this. Like, what do you get away with more than anything in the NFL?" He was like, "Oh, I false start every play." Like, what do you mean? He was like, "If I know the cadence, like I go like a half second early every time."
Yeah.
He was like, "These guys." He's like, "These guys are animals." And they're like, "Oh, you're telling us that out loud?" They're like, "They're going to start calling you for a false start every time." And he straight up was like, "No, everybody does it."
Yeah. It's
he said that
been going on for a while. Like it's not new.
Yeah, no, it was just funny to hear him say that,
Yeah.
and then see what happens this weekend. And like, also, the announcers in that game, Tony Dungy and whoever he was with, just awful job of announcing that game.
Man, I mean, God bless Tony Dungy. He's a great analyst, but I've always felt like the energy is never there with him. And I think it's just like part of his personality isn't that high energy guy.
Yeah.
And like the broadcast just felt like very low energy the whole time. I think he's better in studio than he is as an analyst. As like
that was one of the worst called game. And then they just could the game was still going on after that uncalled false start, and like other plays were happening, and there was a lot of stuff that was still very meaningful. Like we got they didn't even basically announce the 2-point conversion that happened right after that, and like all that. Like I understand it was a bad call, but they're still talking about it like after the kickoff. Like they're still talking about it after the Chargers go 3 and out, and it was like, you're here to announce the game, like, and it was like they're just like two dudes just like watching the game at a bar together, and it was like, you're talking about something that happened 14 plays ago, and like, yeah, it was a bad call, but like, it's not your job to like,
yeah,
no, it was just one of those things. It was like, wow, and then like the energy was just so incredibly low, yeah, it was just bad all around. But all right. Enough of last weekend. Some great games. Just a reminder that if you didn't know, Bears do have the number 1 overall pick. Will Levis looks incredible. CJ Stroud just declared for the draft. So if any GM's out there looking for a quarterback like Will Levis, if you've seen him in shorts, if you've seen him throw the ball, just absolute rocket arm. He has the prototype body. He's everything you want in a quarterback, and like we said last week, you don't even have to turn on the game film. All you have to do is look at him and see his release and see the way that ball zips off his arm. Like don't even turn on the film. Will Levis is clear-cut number 1 guy. Don't even think about Bryce Young. I mean, Bryce Young's way too small, and then CJ Stroud, like, let's just let him fall to a team that deserves him, like the Seahawks, and everything else will work itself out.
Come get your boy, Indianapolis.
Will Levis.
Talking to you, Chris Ballard.
I mean, Will Levis is basically Andrew Luck. Remember how good you were with Andrew Luck? Like, you were the worst team in football and made back-to-back championship games because Andrew Luck was so good. Like, Will Levis could be that for you. Will Levis could be Andrew Luck. Be Andrew Luck. But, yeah, just one of all the GMs out there that I know listen to our podcast every week. Just wanted to say, Chris Ballard, come get your boy. I only know you love him. And then Bryce Young's just going to fall into the Texans' lap. But, all right. We'll get started with the first game of the weekend. And we have also, we didn't even mention that Dak Prescott is the oldest starting quarterback in the NFL playoffs right now.
Is he? I didn't even think about that. Golly, he is.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I don't even think it's really close. But we have, I guess, the king of the sport right now, and Patrick Mahomes about to win his second MVP. Been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1. He's made the AFC Championship game in every year that he's been a starting quarterback, taking on maybe the heir apparent, the prince that was promised, the prodigal son, and Trevor Lawrence. Kansas City at home, 8.5-point favorites. Total in this game is 53 points.
It's a big number.
You have Doug Peterson, Super Bowl champion. You have Andy Reid, Super Bowl champion.
Mentor versus mentee.
Yeah, and oh man, I'll let you go ahead and start this one.
So, model consensus pick likes the Jags here. The models basically across the board think the Jags should be 3 to 5 point dogs. I don't really agree with that personally. That's what the math says. Models also say that the total should be somewhere between 47 and 51. So it's saying to bet the under here. I'm staying away from this one because when I look at this, so let me pull up this item I got here. Let's see. I see this is Trevor Lawrence's stats, first half versus second half. A lot less touchdowns in the first half, a lot lower EPA per play, lower success rate, a lot less accurate all season. This is for the full season. Not the same quarterback in the first half as he has been in the second half. And against this Chiefs team, you can't afford to take a half off unless your name is Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Bengals defense, or not the Bengals defense, the Jaguars defense has been playing good down the stretch. But this Chiefs team is a different animal, and they don't have the number one guy at receiver, which almost makes them scarier because it's like, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
It's Travis Kelce, but then Isaiah Pacheco looks fantastic. Jerick McKinnon has been absolutely explosive for him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there. And then on top of having Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore has been getting into it more. Who was the guy they traded for from the Giants who had a big week 18? Kadarius Toney is just like a touchdown machine. Just like you forget he's doing on the team, and all of a sudden he catches a screen on first and goal from the 8-yard line and scores. Like they just got dudes all over the field. And then obviously Travis Kelce, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, is just always open. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, and yeah, I think the Chiefs defense will be able to get after Lawrence early and often, and not really let him get, in a good rhythm. And if you throw, like he threw 4 interceptions in the first half and they fumbled, like they had 5 turnovers in the first half and one against the Chargers. If they have 2 turnovers in the first half against the Chiefs, it's a game over. Yeah.
The thing that really makes,
and also, even if they have a great first half on top of that, like Chiefs are one of the best second half teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and when I look at this, like I don't ever like betting, an 8.5 point favorite in the playoffs, right? These games are too close. Typically, the talent's too similar, and everything is on the line. No one's taking plays off. And when I look at this, Jacksonville's the 29th ranked pass defense by DVOA. That is not what you want to be against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars a lot, and I think they're going to be a very good team moving forward. I think they're a little early. Like they overperformed this year. It's great that they made the divisional round. They won a playoff game, but I think the road ends here. Great season, a lot to build on. Owen, as much as everybody clowned that Evan Ingram signing, like 1 year, $9 million, like I wonder if they're kind of hoping they would have gave him 2 or 3 and just gave him like the $22 million that he wanted, because my God, that dude's gonna get paid this offseason. But yeah, every move they made in the offseason that everybody clowned, like I don't think one single signing that they made ended up being a liability or a bad signing. Like It's just one of those things.
I don't know how I forget his name. The D lineman they signed from the Jets. They gave a bunch of money. And then no, it was like Felusi something. Felusi Fukinsari. I don't know. That's probably nowhere close to it. It's something. It's a very weird, like different name like that. And then
they give a lot of money
the linebacker they signed from Atlanta, they gave a bunch of money to as well. And I don't know how he's done. I just haven't tracked him all year.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I know their defense is getting better throughout the season. So maybe their defensive guys didn't quite work out, but I mean, Christian Kirk, absolutely. Like, everybody clowned the Christian Kirk deal, and then everybody got paid more money. He reset the market, and then you look at his market value compared to what he produced. I mean, what was it like? I think he had 103 catches for 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's absolutely worth what he ended up. I think he was the 6th highest paid receiver when he signed. Then after all the new deals, he ended up being like 12th or 13th. Like, yeah, that's obvious. Like, he put up 12 or 13 numbers. Like, absolutely earned his contract, and then also helped out all of his wide receiver friends.
Yeah,
like, it's just crazy how it all worked out. I'm happy for him. I like Doug Peterson. I thought he got a raw deal in Philadelphia. I've always liked Trevor Lawrence ever since he was at Clemson. So, yeah, I think they're going to be good in the future, but road ends here.
Road ends.
If I'm taking anything in this game, I'll probably lean the over. I think they have enough offensive firepower to maybe score 17-23, and I don't think the Chiefs will have any issues getting to that 28-30 range. So I'll probably take over 53 in that one.
I do have this game in a teaser that I'll get to later, but if
this is the only game I don't have bet currently, so
if I was going to bet anything in this game, it would probably be Kansas City to cover.
Yeah. If we're talking teasers, I love Kansas City in a teaser here.
Yeah. I got one. We'll get to it.
6-point teaser. Give me Kansas City at 2.5. Like, yes.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to the next one. Sunday night game. We have the hottest coach in football, Brian Daboll, with that bald head. Now. He's so hot right now. Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is that he might not win Coach of the Year, and in my opinion, I can see a route that the Giants make the Super Bowl. And I think Coach of the Year votes are already in, and he might not get it, and he might make the Super Bowl as a first-year head coach with a team that nobody had faith in. But we have New York Giants going on the road to Philadelphia, all 37 miles of it on the road. And then we have 7.5-point spread here. Philly's the favorite, 48-point total. I'm pretty sure we're on opposite sides here. What do you got?
Oh, I'm sure we are. The model has a consensus pick for the Giants here. Thinks that this game should be a spread anywhere from 4.5 up to 7. It thinks 7.5 is a little rich though, and so do I. If this was 7, I'd probably take Philly because at least I'd get the push if it ends at 7. But 7.5, I just get heartburn like thinking about betting that. Model also is split decision on the total. 2 of them think it goes under, 1 of them thinks it goes over, and really just it averages to right there, so it's like you don't see a strong bet on it from the numbers. Personally, I look at this as Philly's one of the best teams in the trenches in the NFL, right? O-line, D-line, they are very talented on both sides.
They were throughout the season. Most of the season.
And then Giants, I look at them and I see on defense, like they are winning with their D-line. That D-line is stacked. It is talented. It is good.
Avon Thibodeau has been so good down the stretch.
But Philly, I think, has the best O-line in football. They have the best chance of anyone to
neutralize. They did for most of the season. So, everything you just said, I think, is 100% true if we're talking Week 13. but it's not week 13. Philly did not look great down the stretch. Lane Johnson going down absolutely hurt them badly. He will be back this week, but it was, I think he tore his abdomen, if I'm not
Groin.
mistaken.
It's a groin
Yeah,
injury.
he can technically play, but how good will he be? And then you look at Jason Kelsey, best center in the league. He's very old. He's hurting. He's hurting badly. And then
that's not convincing enough for me on Kelsey.
I mean, they didn't play up to the standard they were playing all year down the stretch. They're not playing their best football, and the Giants are playing their best football. I love the Giants here at plus 7.5. That's basically what I was getting at. I mean, I'm never going to come out I hate the Eagles with everything in me, and Jason Kelsey is one of my favorite players in the league. So I'm not going to sit here and disparage him by any means. But Giants are playing their best football of all year. Daniel Jones looks incredible. Saquon Barkley looks fantastic. Brian Daboll is in his absolute bag calling these games. And yeah, Giants are playing their best football. Eagles are not playing their best football. I'm taking Giants plus 7.5. I love this play. I'm probably going to sprinkle the money line here. I think the Giants make the NFC Championship.
All right. So one of the reasons I don't like the Giants here, this is their fifth road game in 6 weeks. This is going to catch up to them eventually. They've been playing close, tight games, leaving it all out there. I mean, one of those week 18,
young guys
like we were saying, they weren't playing their starters, but still, I mean, I think they are walking a razor's edge through a lot of this, and Minnesota is not the team that Philly is. They barely got out of Minnesota. No. Minnesota is nowhere near better than Philly.
I don't know. Have you seen Justin Jefferson in shorts?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's outstanding, but that defense is rough. I mean, I think the Giants are going to have a really hard time throwing the football at all. I mean, they might be able to run it, but even then, I think Philly's D-line is stacked. Their linebackers have been playing well. Even with the injuries to their D-line, they're still stacked. I'm not saying they're going to shut down their running game, but they're not going to win the game just running.
They're playing good football.
And I don't think they have the receivers to match Philly's secondary. So where I'm going though is I'm not taking Philly minus 7.5 because that gives me heartburn. I hate that number there. What I am doing is I am teasing Philly down to minus 1.5 and pairing that with Kansas City minus 2.5 on a 6-point teaser. 2 units on that teaser.
I think you've convinced me. I'm not taking Giants plus 7.5. I'm taking them on the money line.
Okay.
Give me Giants money line. Scratch 7.5 off my card. I'm taking Giants money line.
Okay.
Easy. Easiest bet of my life. Can't lose.
You got it. Can't lose.
Man, you're going to feel so foolish on Sunday morning. All right. You're taking Nick Sirianni versus Brian Daboll. Come on now.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with that.
You're taking a mobile quarterback with a sprained shoulder versus Daniel freaking Dimes.
Wait, that wasn't Danny Dimes you were talking about?
The fastest quarterback in the NFL.
Fastest.
Have you seen Saquon Barkley's legs? Incredible. Yeah. Incredible specimen. Penn State graduate.
Yeah, almost as incredible as A.J. Brown.
Almost as fast as Micah Parsons.
Well, I don't know where the Cowboys are coming into this conversation, but sure.
They played together and Micah Parsons beat him in a race. A.J. Brown and the little dude.
Devonta Smith. I don't know who's going to cover him.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. But
And then you got Dallas
I
Goedert to
don't
worry about too.
I don't know if Jalen Hurts' arm can get there. A little wonky.
So
And they
put
hit
the
him
Minshew
early.
magic in.
He didn't look great. If they play Minshew, they're definitely losing this game.
Hey man, they put up what was it, 30-something points against the Cowboys with Minshew?
Yeah, without three of their best players. And the
Still?
Cowboys also put up 40 against that defense that you've been ranting and raving about.
Yeah, Cowboys are a good team.
Giants
Much more dangerous on offense than the Giants.
I don't know about that. Dak
So
did play great
CeeDee
that
Lamb
game.
isn't better than Isaiah Hodgins?
I would say that's a wash.
Hey, I love Isaiah Hodgins. Don't get me wrong, but that is not why.
All right. Well, I got John's funny line there. We'll move on to the next one here. One of the most anticipated games of the regular season that we had an unfortunate accident and didn't get to see that happen. Cincinnati going on the road to Buffalo, which I'm fine with canceling the game, saying they played the same amount of games throughout the season. And I'm fine with giving Buffalo this home game. But if you're going to do that, how in the hell does Buffalo not have to go to Kansas City next week if they both win?
That makes sense to me.
Or if you are going to make Buffalo, Kansas City, neutral site, how the hell is this not a neutral site game? Because we saw half a quarter, and you can't definitively say Buffalo is going to win that game. And if Buffalo doesn't win that game,
Since he was winning, weren't they?
yeah, and they were driving, and they look good. And so if they play that game, this game is in Cincinnati. So, or if they play that game and Cincinnati wins, this game's in Cincinnati. So I just don't understand how they say Chiefs Buffalo has to be a neutral site game, but in the scenario that this game happens, which is obviously happening now, how this isn't a neutral site game.
I'm right there with you. Someone explained it on Twitter as
Okay, so the explanation is Cincinnati Buffalo played the same amount of games. Buffalo had the better record, but the game they didn't play was against each other. That's the kicker. It was like it couldn't be settled on the field. And then
if you're going based on better record, it needs to be better record. If you're going on the same amount of it's just you can't have it both ways the way I see
it. They're moving the goalposts. They're saying Cincinnati Buffalo both played 16 games, and 16 games Buffalo had a better record. Okay, so Kansas City played one more game, but they have the better winning percentage. And if you're not going on record, you basically have to go on percentage. And so Kansas City won one more game than Buffalo won. And I know Buffalo beat them heads up. If Buffalo beats Cincinnati, then Buffalo's the 1 seed. But you didn't give Buffalo the 1 seed. So they're obviously not the 1 seed. Kansas City got the 1 seed. And so how are you going to give Kansas City the 1 seed and then make them play at a neutral site? It's crazy.
I mean, it don't make sense.
Absolute lunacy.
I didn't even think about it till today when you texted it to me, and then I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense that you look at Cincinnati and Buffalo and you said, oh, okay, they both played 16 games. Buffalo has the better record. They get home field. Well, if that's the case, then why are we potentially playing a neutral site the next week if Buffalo wins and Kansas City wins?
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
But anyway, Cincinnati 5-point underdogs on the road at Buffalo with a total of 48, which I thought was shockingly low. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like in Buffalo here, but you have two of the best offenses in the league, two of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and two defenses that are kind of banged up. Cincinnati does have a banged-up O-line as well, but I thought 48 was very, very low here. What does the model say about
at the moment? So before that, just because I got the injury report pulled up here, Cincinnati is without Awuzie still on IR. Alex Kappa is questionable. That's one of their starting guards. Starting left tackle, Jonah Williams.
Eli Apple's just consistently getting clowned by everybody in the league.
Yeah. Starting left tackle Jonah Williams is questionable. Lyle Collins is on IR, starting right tackle, and then Drew Sample, their backup tight end, is out on IR. So really, it's if Jonah Williams and Kappa can play, like it's nothing that they haven't like. They're just as stout as everybody. According to this, he's questionable, which could just be smoke. Like it's early in the week still, but yeah, I mean. You don't know if they're going to be 100% if they are playing. I doubt they will be. But model here is split. 3 of the models like Cincy +5, 2 of them like Buffalo -5. And it's split on the total. 2 of the models like the under, 1 of them likes the over. I like Cincy. I don't care if they're banged up. I don't. Yeah, it's Joe Burrow, man. I mean, 5 points is a lot for Joe Burrow. Against anyone.
And I mean, they still have T. Higgins, they still have Jamar Chase, they still have Tyler Boyd, and they still have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow proved last year that he could get it, and they still have Trey Hendrickson. Like, Joe Burrow proved last year that he could get it done with a bad O-line, and he lost his O-line, and here we are. And he's still standing. And that interior defensive line for Cincinnati is still intact, and that's what helped them with their heroics last year's playoff run, is that they were able to get pressure up the middle. They were able to stop teams from scoring in the second half, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase took over a game. They still have those same guys on defense. I think their defense is still a little bit improved on top of that, and I think T. Higgins is so incredibly good, and any team that's not trying to get T. Higgins this offseason should have their GM fired immediately. So, yeah, I love the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow here. And the Bills didn't look good last week. I know the Bengals didn't look great, but Bills did not look good last week against Miami and Skylar Thompson at all. At all. Bengals, I mean,
Josh Allen hasn't looked good in weeks. He looks like young Josh Allen, who's just like running around trying to do crazy shit. Like, and he doesn't look like the guy who we've seen for the last year and a half before he started looking like this.
And you can say that Baltimore maybe should have won that game last week against Cincinnati, but we're also talking about one of the best coaches in the NFL with a much better defense than Buffalo has, and a situation where their division rival, or I guess their division rivals in Miami too, but I mean, if it's like, I have, like, if I'm going to give somebody a pass, it's like, oh, John Harbaugh with a backup quarterback versus Mike McDaniel with a rookie quarterback. I'm taking Harbaugh every day of the week in that scenario.
Harbaugh is possibly the greatest road dog coach of all time.
Yeah. Like the fact that Cincy almost lost the game doesn't scare me one bit. The fact that Buffalo probably also should have lost tells me everything I need to know about this game. I love Cincy.
Yeah, Cincy +5. I sprinkled the money line already. I think it's an easy bet. One of the best teams in the NFL this year against spread. They're 12-5 against the spread. Buffalo's 8-8-1 against the spread so far. Buffalo's only 3-5 against spread as a home favorite as well. Since he's only played one game as a road dog, and they covered. I got a lot on this game, actually. So I got 2 units on Cincy plus the 5.
2 unit play. Let's go.
And then I have another teaser with Philly -1.5 and Cincy +10.5.
So you'll lose that one, but Cincy +10.5 is great value.
I think it was at 4.5 when I took that. So it instead of 11.
It's great.
Teaser.
It's great value. I don't know why you didn't put the 6 points on the Giants, but I would much rather have the Giants at +13.5 than Philly at -1.5. I would rather I would just bought the half point and just taken Philly at 7. But Neither here nor there.
I thought a lot about whether I should put that on the Giants or Philly. And I was more confident in Philly winning the game than I was in the Giants. I think if the Giants keep it close, they very well might win.
They're gonna win.
I think there's no in between there. I think there's Giants win or they get blown out.
They're gonna win. I promise you, they're gonna win.
Okay, that's fine.
But we'll move on.
Wait.
You got more? Okay, let's keep it rolling. Keep it rolling,
then
man.
I'm putting a unit on the over 48 points in this game. Two of the best, two of the top 3-4 quarterbacks in football. This game's gonna go over. Come on.
Yeah, I got over 48 as well.
Don't give Joey B 3.5 points or more. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I love the over 48 in that game. I think both teams will be able to score, like we talked about, the defensive liabilities on both sides of the ball. The only thing that kind of worries me in this game is that DeMar Hamlin's going to lead them out of the tunnel, and they're going to just come out and play like maniacs. But sometimes that over emotion leads to mistakes too. So you never know. But I fully expect DeMar Hamlin to make an appearance at this game, and that team's going to be juiced up. So.
One other thing to think about with this game, I haven't looked at the bet yet, but I will by Sunday. Joe Mixon props. Buffalo's been one of the worst teams at stopping outside zone all year. Take a look at Joe Mixon yardage props because he's going to get some touches. Zach Taylor comes from McVay, outside zone tree.
If that's the case, then if you really want some juicy props, look at Samaje Perine. Because they sneak him in there, and he's probably his totals are probably going to be extremely, extremely low. So you could probably get some great value on Perine props.
I actually think so. The Dolphins had torn up Buffalo this year with the outside zone stuff that they do. And in that game last week, I think Buffalo was so focused on stopping it. That's why the receivers were running so free last week for the Dolphins. Because they were so hyper-focused on stopping it. The receivers couldn't catch, man. It was driving me nuts. I had a prop on Jalen Waddle over 4 receptions, and he dropped 2. It ended up with only 3.
How many yards did he end up with? He had some big plays. I didn't realize he had.
No, I didn't even want to look at him after those drops.
I didn't realize he had that many drops. If you would have asked me after that game, I would have said Jalen Waddle had 7 catches. I didn't. I wasn't watching it too closely because I had people over we were barbecuing. But it seemed like every time I looked up, he was making a play. I guess I just saw his only 3 catches. How many yards did he have?
I don't know. All I know is he had 3 catches and I needed 4.
Damn. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, give me the over as well, and give me Cincy +5. I like both of those. All right. Here we are, boys. Game of the week. 2 of the most historic franchises in the NFL. 10 Super Bowls combined between the 2 teams. 7th playoff meeting between the 2 teams. You have Dallas Cowboys versus San Francisco 49ers. Dallas going on the road after leaving the West Coast, or after leaving the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. San Francisco has 2.5 extra days of rest in this game. Dallas Cowboys got back last night. Got back to headquarters probably around 1 a.m. and are probably it's just a scheduling nightmare here for the Dallas Cowboys. But you have a veteran team in Dallas, not a whole lot of young guys there. Mike McCarthy, as much shit as people want to give him, I mean, he's not a great coach, he's a fine coach. Dak Prescott's not a great quarterback, he's a fine quarterback. I said it last week, he's not as bad as everybody's acting like he was. I said last week that I love the fact that we laid an egg in Washington, kind of lit a fire into this team on top of getting people back. I absolutely love Dallas in the spot +3.5. Brock Purdy got away with a lot of throws last week against Seattle that he cannot get away with against this Dallas team. And maybe they don't have to throw the ball. Maybe they will be able to run the ball. You've been able to run the ball in Dallas all year. So with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and whatever else Shanahan likes to do with his offense, I think they're going to be able to run the ball early and often. And it could be a problem for Dallas. But Shanahan historically shits down his pants in big games. Last year, San Francisco versus Dallas in the playoffs was one of the worst games I've ever seen coached by Kyle Shanahan. Absolutely abysmal performance. Dallas just absolutely refused to win that game. And San Francisco did everything they could to give Dallas that game. And now I look at this team, and I think Kyle Shanahan has to call a perfect game with Brock Purdy here, because I'm assuming they're going to be able to establish the run. There's ways like Stephon Diggs will not tackle anybody. He refuses to, and I don't want my franchise corner making big time tackles. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like if they can get the outside zone running towards Diggs, they can have a lot of success. But I have
straight at him.
I have no confidence that Shanahan's going to do the right thing in this moment, and I love the Dallas Cowboys plus 3.5. I love them on the money line here, and I like the under 46.5. San Francisco's defense is very, very good, but I think with the combination of Pollard and Elliott and the way Dak is running the ball right now and not just throwing the ball away and actually using his legs for probably the first time in about 4 years and putting his shoulder down and getting first downs. And then you look at some of these tight ends. You have Ferguson, you have Hendershot, you have Schultz playing really well right now. CeeDee Lamb's playing out of his freaking mind. T.Y. Hilton's putting up some good reps for us. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like Michael Gallup is finally back to form. On top of all of that, defense is healthy since the first time since week 13. I love Dallas in the spot. And you watch Brock Purdy in that game versus Seattle, and yeah, they ended up dominating the final score. But their defense also had a touchdown, and they kind of broke the will of Seattle. They're not going to break the will of this Dallas team. And Brock Purdy is not going to be able to get away with a lot of the throws to get away with last week. So I love Dallas in the spot plus 3.5. And that's not like, yeah, I'm a very biased Dallas Cowboys fan, but as somebody who has the San Francisco 49ers future, I think this is worst case scenario for San Francisco. Like, they should be playing Minnesota right now, and Dallas should be playing Philly. And that's not the case. I think Dallas is the last team San Francisco wanted to see, and I think San Francisco is the last team Dallas wanted to see. I think it goes both ways. Like, I think this is a nightmare matchup for both teams, but I think Dallas covers the 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, I was torn on this game. I'm not gonna lie. So I was sitting here trying to make the case for Dallas first because I love that number 3.5. It's just a nice looking number, you know. It works. And man, I'm looking through this and I'm saying, how does San Fran lose this game? You know, like what has to happen for San Fran to lose? And yeah, exactly. I end up with Brock Purdy,
the guy who touches the ball more than anybody.
I end up with Brock Purdy and the fully healthy Cowboys defense, like you said, for the first time in a long time, who is a very, very good defensive unit. And going back and looking through, so Brock Purdy played the majority of the last 6 games of the season, 5 starts. He came in in the first quarter of the game against Miami and started every game after that. So played the Dolphins, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Commanders, Raiders, and Cardinals. I'm not sitting here saying like, man, those are some good defenses. You know, like Washington's a solid defense. Tampa's a solid defense. They're not what they were 2 years ago. Not a single defense that comes close to Dallas's this year, especially when they're fully healthy. So that makes me start questioning.
Leighton Vander Esch is the difference.
Yeah, he's the motor of that defense. Absolutely. So now I'm sitting here questioning, you know, maybe the 49ers will struggle in this game. And then I come back to Dallas's 4th straight road game on a short week against a Kyle Shanahan team who has an extra day to prepare.
Extra 2.5 days.
Or extra 2.5 days. I was about to say maybe 2 days to prepare.
And they're at home.
Extra
and
2.5 days at home.
And they're at home, and they were at home last week too, so they never left.
And the kicker for me is the kicker.
The kicker?
Yeah. If Mark didn't miss all those extra points, I would be on
Dallas. That's an issue. Don't think that's gonna be an issue. Really no.
Maybe it won't, but I'm not willing to bet on it because of it.
Yeah.
Like one missed extra point turns 3 to 4, and that's a loss. Like,
yeah, it does.
So that's really why I'm staying away from the spread on this one. I am taking the over 46 because, shockingly, the San Fran defense is good, but last 4 games, 64 points, 51 points, 71 points, 57 points, all way over.
Yeah.
They've been going over consistently, and I just think there's a good shot that, one of these teams puts up a decent amount of points. I don't know which one, but one of them I'm willing to bet does.
So if we get the same Dak Prescott that we got against Tampa Bay, Dallas wins this game double digits. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think we get that same Dak Prescott. Like I said, he's a fine quarterback. I see Dak's stat line being somewhere around 27 for 40, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. I mean, I think it's a fine average game against a good defense. But like I said, if he plays like he did against Tampa, I don't think anybody in the NFC can beat the Cowboys. But that's Dak Prescott's in his 7th year, and that's a 1-of-1 game. So doubtful that happens again.
The one other thing that kind of hit me in looking at this with the Cowboys was like they started kind of slow against Tampa.
Very slow. Yeah. 3 straight.
And I don't know if you can get away with that against San Fran. We'll see. Like if Purdy lays an egg, you can, but like if he doesn't, you can't start slow against them.
Well, at the same time, if the defense comes out like they did against Tampa, and they're going 3 at them as well, it's like, well, the first person that gets momentum is going to keep it. Like,
yeah, I'm just saying. I think you're a lot safer against Tampa not starting fast than you are San Fran, just because they're gonna find a way to get points running the ball, even if you're stopping their passing.
Yeah, but they do an end around on first down and get tackled for a 3-yard loss. They try to run up the middle, 2nd down, and it's no game. And all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 13 with Brock Purdy, and you have Micah Parsons, Odigizui, and Dorrance Armstrong, and just breathing down your neck on 3rd down. Like,
yeah, you need the first 2 downs to go right.
Yeah, I'm
not saying the Cowboys won't.
I love Kyle Shanahan.
I'm just expressing my thought process of going through this game.
I love Kyle Shanahan. If you said I could have any coach in the league, I would probably Kyle Shanahan would be in my top 3. But there's just something about him in big games that I don't know. I don't know if it's a him issue or if it's just bad luck with the teams that he coaches, but something happens in big games.
Did you not hear? The curse was lifted last week. It's the Staley curse now. It's not the Shanahan curse anymore.
I think Staley's got to blow a couple more to take that down.
But yeah, give me over 46.5, or I think I got it at 46. But
you can probably talk me into that over. I have the under right now. I haven't bet it yet, but
yeah, I thought about the under here too, but it's playoffs. Like these guys are going to find ways to score points. I think either that or it's going to be like 17-10. But that's what playoff football is. It's either super low or super high, and there's not really an in between.
Absolutely. Well, you have anything else for the week?
That's all I got. Got my 2 teasers in there. Got my 2-unit Bengals play. Got, let's see, over 48 in Bengals Bills and over 46 in this one, and that's it.
Let's go, boy. All right, that'll do it for this week. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to be playing in the championship weekend next week, and maybe some Super Bowl futures. So let's see what you got. I'm saying it. I think the Giants are making the Super Bowl this year. I think they're making a Super Bowl run. I have a future on the 49ers, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so take that for what you will.
Yeah, I got Niners, but it's hard to just trust Brock Purdy on that though. It really is.
I got Niners Bengals in my future. If making me choose right now, I'm going to say Chiefs Giants.
Choosing right now, I'm probably going. It would have been Bengals a week ago, but after some of those injuries, I think I'm going Chiefs and 49ers.
Chiefs 49ers, Chiefs Giants. All right, let's get it, boys. Have another 8-unit weekend. Love to see it. Get that bankroll up. Thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
Adios.